She begged for forgiveness after the first affair. Said she wanted to start over? Then one night, I saw her sharing a hotel room under my name. "It's not cheating if we're broken," she texted him. I read it all. Then I waited for our anniversary to leave the envelope that would destroy everything she thought she'd get away with. I never thought I'd be one of those guys who finds out his whole marriage was a lie. Thought I was smarter than that. Thought we were solid. I was dead wrong. I'm 41. Born and raised near Spokane, Washington. I work in warehouse logistics. Nothing fancy, but it pays the bills, and I've always been the type to show up, do my job, and go home. I don't need much. I don't chase thrills. I just wanted something real. Stability. A home. A partner. Dana was that partner, or so I thought. We met in Seattle 12 years ago at a mutual friend's barbecue. She worked HR for a medical supply company. Smart, put together, pretty in a way that made you feel calm, not nervous. She had this calm voice and always seemed like she was thinking 2 steps ahead. I was hooked from the start. We dated for a year, got married, then moved to Spokane. Bought a small 2-bedroom house on South Hill. It had a decent-sized yard, space for me to build a workshop in the garage, and she loved the kitchen. We made it our own. We didn't have kids, but we talked about it. The plan was always, someday. For a while we were good. We had dinner together most nights. Weekend hikes. Double dates with friends. Holidays with her folks or mine. Nothing wild. Just normal. That's what I liked about it. Then 2 years ago, I caught her cheating. I wasn't snooping. She left her phone on the kitchen counter and a message popped up. I didn't recognize the name. Greg G. The preview said something like, "Still thinking about your mouth. Last night was." I didn't even finish reading it before my body just froze. I knew right then. I opened the thread. There were photos. Messages going back months. Meeting up after work. Making excuses to stay late. She sent him stuff she never sent me. I felt sick. Like I'd been hit in the head with something heavy. When I confronted her, she did what most cheaters do. Cried. Said she was confused. That it was just a stupid thing. That it was over. That it didn't mean anything. That she never stopped loving me. I told her to leave. She didn't. She stayed. Slept in the guest room. Said she wanted to fight for us. Said she'd do therapy, cut all contact, whatever it took. For weeks she followed me around like a ghost. Kept asking for a second chance. I caved. Not because I forgave her. I didn't. But I didn't want to burn everything down without trying. So we did couples therapy. She changed her number, deleted her social media. Gave me access to everything. I watched her like a hawk, and for a while, it felt like maybe she meant it. Maybe we could rebuild. She started cooking again. We had movie nights. She'd hold my hand and fall asleep next to me on the couch like nothing ever happened. I wanted to believe it was real. I really did. Then, last fall, it all started again. She got distant. Started working late. Always. Just a few more things at the office. Sometimes she'd come home after 10 p.m., and I'd ask why she didn't text. She always had some excuse. Left her phone in the car, dead battery, something came up. One Friday night she got home close to midnight. Hair too perfect. Makeup not smudged at all. Said her coworker needed help setting up some event. Said they lost power at the office. I stared at her the whole time she talked, and not once did she meet my eyes. That night, after she fell asleep, I checked our joint credit card account. There it was. A charge for a room at the Holiday Inn by the airport. Under my name. I hadn't booked anything. I hadn't even been near the airport in months. I asked her about it the next day, calm as I could. She looked right at me and said it must have been an old reservation. Maybe something I forgot to cancel. "I'll call them," she said. She never did. 2 days later, I drove to the hotel. I asked the front desk lady if someone had stayed under my name that previous Friday night. I showed her my ID. She looked uncomfortable, then nodded. "Yes, sir," she said. "You checked in at 7:23 p.m. and checked out at 6:48 the next morning." I didn't say a word. Just nodded and walked out. On the drive home, I wasn't even angry. Just numb. I'd given her a second chance. She'd begged me for one. Promised me she was done lying. But it didn't matter. She went right back to it. I didn't confront her this time. I wanted to be smart. I found an old iPad she gave me years ago and logged into her iCloud. Same password. She never changed it. Within an hour, I had access to her texts, notes, calendar, everything. I set up auto-sync and waited. Took 3 days. That's when I found him. His name was Lucas. Worked with her. Sales rep or something. Divorced. Had kids. Their messages were boring at first. Nothing outright sexual. But then she started slipping up. Phrases like, "Next time bring the red wine winky face." Or, "My legs are still sore after Tuesday." Photos. Not explicit, but suggestive. Her on a hotel bed, sipping wine. Her in the passenger seat of a car, wearing that stupid smirk she always used to give me. Then came the message that changed everything. Lucas asked her, "You sure this is okay? You're still married, right?" She replied, "It's not cheating if we're broken. He just doesn't know it yet." I read it 5 times. I stared at it until the screen went dark. My whole body went cold. There it was. Proof that not only was she cheating again, but she was mentally out of our marriage long before she had the guts to tell me. But I didn't scream. I didn't tell her. I started planning. Our 10th wedding anniversary was 2 months away. Dana had been talking about renewing our vows, making a fresh start, booking a cabin weekend in Leavenworth. She wanted to pretend we were whole again. I agreed. I told her it sounded perfect. Told her I'd handled the rental. She smiled like she'd won something. I spent the next few weeks gathering everything. Screenshots. Messages. Hotel receipts. Photos. I printed it all out. I even included the old texts from her first affair with Greg, just to remind her I didn't forget. Then I wrote a single note on top of the pile. "You said you wanted a fresh start." "I agree. Here's yours." I put it all in a yellow envelope. Wrote her name in black marker on the front. Then I waited. When the day came, we drove to Leavenworth. She packed candles, wine, her silk robe. Told me she brought something special for later that night. Kept smiling at me like we were in some romantic movie. She cooked dinner at the cabin, poured wine, even danced to some old playlist we made years ago. I let her have her moment. After we ate, I handed her the envelope. She thought it was a gift. When she opened it, the color left her face. She didn't speak for a full minute. Just stared at the first page. Then flipped through the rest with shaking hands. Her eyes darted across the room, like she was trying to find an excuse hiding in the walls. Finally she whispered, "You went through my phone?" I stared at her. "That's what you're worried about." She started crying. Said I was being cruel. Said it wasn't what it looked like. That she hadn't even slept with him yet. That they were just talking. That she was confused again. I didn't say anything. I picked up my bag, walked to the truck, and left her there. She didn't call that night. When she got back home, the house was empty. I'd already moved out. Everything that was mine was gone. A letter from my lawyer was waiting on the kitchen counter. I wasn't going to be her fool again. I figured once I left she'd get the message. But Dana didn't quit. Not even close. The day after she got home from the cabin, she showed up at my brother Travis's place, where I'd been crashing. She stood outside in the cold for almost an hour, ringing the bell, waiting. Travis wouldn't let her in. He's never liked her much, not even before all this. I watched her from the upstairs window. She was crying, holding that yellow envelope like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She left eventually. Next day, she started emailing me. First, it was begging. Said she was broken, that she needed help, that she was in therapy again, that she hadn't actually slept with Lucas, that it was just texting, harmless flirting, and she didn't know how deep she'd fallen until it was too late. Then the tone changed. She started accusing me. Said I was cold. Said I gave up on her. Said I was controlling. That I weaponized her mistakes to punish her. Like somehow I was the one who ruined our marriage. I didn't respond. Not to any of it. A week later, her sister, Mallory, called me. Mallory was always the only sane one in Dana's family. She told me Dana had been telling everyone that I abandoned her, that I refused to go to therapy, that I made her feel unwanted and trapped. I nearly dropped the phone. I sent Mallory the same folder I gave Dana. Screenshots, receipts, all of it. Mallory went quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I believe you." After that, I started hearing things. One of Dana's coworkers messaged me anonymously through Facebook. Said he'd seen her and Lucas together during work hours. Said it was an open secret around the office. That Dana had been bragging about how she was emotionally done with me for months. Turns out, Dana wasn't just sleeping with Lucas. She'd been sleeping with another guy too, some married pharmaceutical rep named Brandon. She was meeting up with him during lunch breaks, at hotels and calling it networking. It all started making sense. The long showers. The phone always face down. The sudden girls' weekends she never used to care about. She'd been spiraling for a while. And I hadn't wanted to see it. So I decided to make sure everyone else did. I forwarded everything, anonymously, from a burner account to the HR department of her company. Included the messages, the timestamps, the hotel receipts under her corporate email. She'd been dumb enough to message Lucas from her work laptop too. A week later, she was fired. Violation of conduct. Or something like that. She emailed me that night. Said, "You've ruined my life." I lost everything. I still didn't respond. A few days after that, Lucas's ex-wife messaged me. Said she got a mysterious envelope in the mail. Said she now had full custody of their kids and was filing for full support. She thanked me. Said I did her a favor. That's when I knew I'd started something I couldn't stop. And maybe didn't want to. But then Dana tried something that almost worked. She filed a claim saying I was emotionally abusive. Said I'd been manipulative, cold, hostile. Said I controlled her finances, isolated her from friends, created a toxic environment. I got served with a restraining order hearing. I was shocked. Almost laughed. But she wasn't playing around. She had screenshots, cherry-picked ones, of me venting about her cheating, talking about getting revenge. Stuff I wrote in private text to Travis that she somehow still had access to. She painted it like I'd been dangerous. Like I'd scared her into cheating. So I lawyered up. We went to court. Small courtroom, maybe 10 people there. Dana walked in with her new lawyer and crocodile tears. She even wore that same necklace I bought her on our 5th anniversary, like it meant something. She told her story. About how I'd neglected her, emotionally abandoned her. Said she was scared of me. That I tracked her phone, followed her, monitored her conversations. My lawyer handed the judge the full packet. Every message. Every receipt. The photos. Her reply to Lucas. It's not cheating if we're broken. We let the evidence speak. The judge denied her request. Fast. She looked at me as they were walking out like she didn't even recognize me anymore. Like I was the villain in her story. But I wasn't done. After the court shut down her lies, I figured she'd retreat. That maybe, just maybe, she'd go quiet and disappear into the mess she made. I was wrong again. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Not mine. Hers. Dana was suing me for spousal support. I almost choked on my coffee reading it. Said she gave up her career to support me, that because we were married for a decade and she'd invested emotionally in our life together, I owed her compensation to maintain her standard of living. I laughed at first. But my lawyer didn't. He said Washington state can be weird about spousal support. If a judge thinks she's owed, even with what she did, I might have to pay. That's when I started digging harder. I found something I wasn't expecting. Turns out, Dana had been using a fake name, Danielle Green, on some sketchy dating apps. She had a burner phone too. Bought it with cash. I traced a few usernames and ran them through a few online tools I know. I saw her real photos, cropped different, but definitely her. And the kicker? She was sugar babying. Trips, cash, gifts. Not just from Lucas or that married pharma guy, there were more. One guy sent her $1,000 through Venmo with a cactus emoji. Another booked a flight for her to Vegas. The woman I married had turned into someone I didn't even recognize. So I started screenshotting again. I pulled everything. Then I got an idea. Dana had always been paranoid about her image. Back when we were still married, she'd delete unflattering Facebook tags and monitor who posted what. Her social media was curated like some lifestyle influencer. Perfect hair, fake smiles, blessed wife, captions. All lies. So I made a copy of her secret life. And I built a website. It was simple. Password protected. Just a clean gallery of screenshots, texts, emails, Venmo payments, photos, usernames. I didn't post it anywhere public. I just sent the link out privately. To her church. To her aunt that hosted our engagement party. To 3 of her closest friends. To the women's hiking group she used to brag about being a part of. Within 24 hours, her social life started burning down. 2 of her friends posted vague, betrayal, quotes. The hiking group removed her from their Facebook page. Her cousin messaged me and said, "I thought you were being dramatic before. I didn't know it was this deep." I didn't reply. I wanted her to feel isolated. Not just for the cheating, but for how easy it was for her to lie while acting like a victim. How she almost got the courts to believe her crap. How she tried to pin it all on me. Then came the twist I really didn't see coming. Lucas. He showed up at my job. I saw him from the warehouse bay. Clean polo shirt, sunglasses, standing stiff like he wasn't sure if he was about to fight or apologize. I walked out. I kept my distance. He said, "I just want 5 minutes." I didn't respond. Then he said, "She told me she was divorced. Said you cheated on her. Said you hit her." That stopped me. She showed me fake bruises. Said she was scared to go to the police. I was ready to help her file charges. I stared at him. I didn't say anything. Then he looked down and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know who she really was until your file showed up. Whoever sent that site, thank you." So I asked him something. How many other guys did she talk to? He shook his head. "Man, I don't even know." I found a second phone in her bag one day. She said it was her sister's. We stood there in silence for a bit. 2 men, both tricked by the same woman, both a little humiliated. Lucas handed me a USB. I downloaded everything I had. "Maybe it helps you," he said. "Maybe it helps me sleep." He turned and walked off. When I got home that night, I opened it. More texts. Voice recordings. Even a few videos where she talked about me by name. Called me dead weight, soft, a joke of a man. She laughed in one of them and said, I could cheat in front of him, and he'd still ask me what I want for dinner. I stayed up all night, staring at the wall. This wasn't just cheating. This was planned humiliation. She enjoyed it. She thought I'd never catch on. Thought I'd just take it. That I was too safe. Too boring to ever push back. That's when I knew this wasn't over. And I had one move left that would take everything from her. But I had to be patient. I had to make it count. After getting the USB from Lucas and seeing everything on it, how Dana mocked me, how she bragged about using me, I stopped caring about staying civil. I stopped worrying about what people might think of me. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Shame. Loss. Rage. Humiliation. But I wasn't going to break the law. I wasn't going to hit her. I was going to destroy her reputation, her money, and her future the same way she tried to destroy mine, one cut at a time. First, I went back to my lawyer. I told him everything, showed him all the new stuff from Lucas. He brought in another attorney who specialized in financial fraud and digital forensics. That's when the real fun started. Because Dana hadn't just been lying to me. She'd been lying to the IRS. We found out she was getting undeclared money from at least 3 different men through Venmo, Cash App, and one through direct PayPal invoices labeled as freelance consulting. She never filed that income. Some of it had big dollar signs, thousands. I filed an anonymous tip to the IRS and included copies of the transactions. 3 months later, I found out she was being audited. Not just audited, they were investigating her for tax fraud. Turns out, if you claim you're self-employed, but never register a business and hide cash payments, they take that seriously. But I wasn't done. I also contacted the Board of Ethics tied to her HR certification. I showed them the site I'd built, the proof of her relationships with coworkers, and how she used company time and equipment for those affairs. Her certification was suspended for violating professional standards. She can't work in HR anywhere without it now. Then came the divorce hearing. She walked in like a ghost of who she used to be. Skinny, tired, not wearing makeup, hair up in a messy knot. She looked like life had smacked her hard. Her lawyer tried to fight for spousal support, but my lawyer handed over the newest packet: texts, voice notes, video clips, money trails. Everything. The judge read it. Took one long look at Dana. Then flat out said, "Ma'am, based on the level of deception and repeated infidelity, I am denying your request. You are not entitled to support. In fact, you're lucky he's not seeking damages." Dana looked like she couldn't breathe. And I still wasn't done. A few weeks after the divorce was finalized, I mailed 2 packages. One went to Brandon's wife, the married pharmaceutical guy she'd been sneaking off with. Inside were screenshots, hotel receipts, and a copy of one of Dana's thank you texts. His wife filed for divorce 2 months later. Took their house and custody of the kids. The other package went to her parents. I hadn't talked to them since the divorce. But I wanted them to know who their daughter really was. Her mother sent me a card. Handwritten. Said, "We're ashamed. You didn't deserve this." I kept that card in my drawer. Not because I needed her pity, but because it reminded me that sometimes people do see the truth. Then one night, I got a message from a number I didn't know. It was Dana. She said she'd moved to Arizona. Said she couldn't get a job. That people Googled her and saw the site. That she was trying to start over, but couldn't escape her past mistakes. She asked me to take the site down. Said she was suffering enough. I didn't reply. I updated the site with one last message at the top. This page exists to remind people that some mistakes don't go away just because you're sorry. Some damage can't be undone. Then I locked it from edits and let it stay there. A digital tombstone. As for me, I'm not perfect either. I should have left after the first time she cheated. I should have trusted my gut sooner. But I didn't. I stayed. I gave chances. I made excuses. That's on me. But I've learned. I live in a new place now, outside Spokane. Smaller. Simpler. I've cut ties with almost everyone from that part of my life. I've started dating again, slowly, carefully. I don't let people in easily anymore. Maybe that's not fair, But it's the truth. The truth is what saved me. And the truth is what ruined her. Not a single punch thrown. Not one word screamed. Just the truth. And it hit harder than anything else ever could.